Hello children, welcome to today's English class. I hope you all are safe and healthy at home. Today we'll learn a poem from your prose text which is very interesting, at the same time teaches us a great lesson of life. So children, before we actually move on to the poem, let us discuss something, and I would like you to look at the board at the two writings which I have written here. The first one is, I am a citizen not of Athens or Greece but of the world. So this was said by Socrates. And just look at the second writing, the earth is but one country and mankind its citizens. This I have taken from a religious scripture, children. All our religious scriptures teach us great lessons of life, and they do teach us how we can become good human beings, isn't it? And we all have been created with beautiful values, attributes. So we must try to understand the purpose of our creation and practice all the attributes that is inherent in us, so that we serve the society. We look at the whole society as one world. Though we may be different in different ways, there are diversities amongst us, isn't it, children? We belong to different countries. We are different in color, creed, language, caste, okay? But we all are one. We are human beings. So that is what the poet has tried to tell us through this particular poem which we are going to learn today. No men are foreign. Maybe many times you feel that I belong to a particular country, I am an Indian, he is a citizen of a different country, okay? So why should I love him? He belongs to a different country, he is a stranger for me. But the poet says, no men are foreign. So this poem is based on the concept of universal brotherhood. Children, these days the term like universal and global have become very common in our conversations, isn't it? You often hear these words. And all the problems of the world, the global issues, are discussed at the global level. We talk of universal language, we talk of universal brotherhood. What do these things convey to us? That we all belong to one earth. The earth is one. We always say the mother earth, okay? And we all enjoy the gifts of Mother Nature alike. So let's try to read this poem, No Men Are Foreign, by James Kirkup. You can open page 80 of your textbook and look at your textbook, or if you can even look at the board as we read the poem. So please listen carefully, because we'll be discussing the poetic devices, and also we'll try to understand the hidden message in this poem. What is the learning for us, and what message has the poet tried to convey through this poem? So children, let's move on to the poem. No Men Are Foreign by James Kirkup. Remember, no men are strange, no countries foreign. Beneath all uniforms, a single body breathes. Like ours, the land of our brothers walk upon is earth like this, in which we all shall lie. Beneath here, children, means under, and strange means unknown, somebody whom we do not know, unknown person. We say a stranger, okay? So here the poet begins by saying that what we need to remember, that no men are strange and no countries foreign. Beneath all uniforms, a single body breathes. We have seen soldiers of different countries. Okay, they all wear uniform. Maybe the uniform of soldiers in different countries is different, but under the uniform they wear, the human beings are the same. They all have been created by one God. God has created us all alike. Therefore, there are no differences if we look at it from the point of view of our creation. That's why the poet has said, though the uniform of the soldiers of different countries are different, but beneath the uniform, the human beings are the same. Okay? And he says they all breathe alike, like us. They breathe like we do. Okay? And they walk upon the land as we do. And the earth belongs to all alike. And we are born on this earth, and we all are going to be buried under this earth, okay, in which we all shall lie. That means all are born in this world, and all are going to leave this world one day. So this has been destined for all human beings alike. So all human beings walk upon the land as we do. They breathe the same air as we do, and after death, everybody is going to be buried under the same earth. Isn't it, children? Is there any difference in the way we breathe, the air that we breathe, or the land on which we walk, or the place where we would go after our death? No, it's the same for all the countries. And that is why the poet says, no men are strange and no countries foreign. They too, aware of sun and air and water, are fed by peaceful harvests, by war's long winters starved. Their hands are ours, and in their lines we read, a labor not different from our own. Here again the poet tries to tell us that all of us, whether we belong to any country, we enjoy the sunshine, the air and water, the wonderful gifts of nature alike in the same way. Okay? And the agriculture is common to all the countries, isn't it? We have farmers in all the countries. Though the technology they use, the techniques they use might be different, but agriculture is common to all the countries. Okay? And everyone becomes happy when they have a very good harvest. So the happiness is the same everywhere. But at the same time, the poet also tells about the disadvantages or dangerous effects of war. He says the wars are always destructive. They bring a lot of destruction. Many people are killed, environment is destroyed. Okay? Lot of money is spent on weapons. So the dangerous effects of war or the consequences of war are the same for all the countries. Have you heard of any country, children, which would say that after this war we have flourished and we are very happy? Have you ever heard? You might have read in history about the consequences of war. Okay? People starve. Okay, you have read about the Great Depression. Okay? Because during a war, all the power and money is concentrated only in the war. But after the war, since there was no agriculture during the wartime, so people starve. So he says, we all starve alike. That means the effect of war is the same on every one of us. Okay? Maybe we belong to different countries. And he says, their hands are ours. that means we work in the same way, we do agriculture or benefit out of the harvest in the same way, and we work hard the same way our brothers and sisters in different countries do. So our joys and sorrows are the same everywhere. That is what the poet has tried to tell us. Remember, they have eyes like ours that wake or sleep, and strength that can be won by love. In every land is common life that all can recognize and understand. So again, the poet reminds us that our appearance, the way we are created, is the same. That's why I said beneath the uniform all the soldiers are the same. Human beings are the same. Like we have eyes and we sleep and wake up in the same way as all human beings do. Okay, whether they belong to any country, whether they are from any part of the world, they do sleep like us and they wake up like us, okay, and they too have two eyes like us, and strength that can be won by love. He says there is nothing in the world that cannot be won by love. Therefore, when we have realized that we all are one, we have been created by one God, then we must love each other without any prejudice, without any differences. And he says the life is the same everywhere in all the land. Everybody can recognize and understand the life, as the life is the same everywhere. Okay children, I hope all of you are with me and are very carefully listening to whatever is being discussed here. Now let's move to the next stanza. Let's remember, whenever we are told to hate our brothers, it is ourselves that we all shall dispossess, betray, condemn. Remember, we who take arms against each other. Children, here dispossess means to be deprived of. Possess means to have something, and dispossess means to be deprived of something. Betray means to hurt somebody who trusts you, especially by not being loyal to him or her. So here the poet says, if somebody asks us to hate our brothers just because they belong to another country, they are strangers, or they don't speak the same language as we do, or they don't look like us, so what should we remember? We should remember that we are betraying ourselves, we are being deprived of something, and we are condemning ourselves. Okay? Therefore, if somebody tells us, somebody tries to misguide us and tries to divide us in the name of religion, language, caste or creed or color of the skin, we must remember that we are hating ourselves. We are depriving ourselves of some precious things of life, and we are betraying us and we are condemning ourselves. So we must remember, if somebody is asking us to take arms against each other, that means here arms means the use of weapons in wars. So if people try to ask us or try to tell us to hate people and to wage war against each other, we must never do that. We must ponder for a while that, is it going to benefit us? Not at all. Okay? As I told you, war always brings destruction. Hatred always gives back hatred to us. It leads to our own destruction, and we are deprived of human values. Okay? It is the human earth that we defile. Our hells of fire and dust outrage the innocence of air that is everywhere our own. Remember, no men are foreign and no countries strange. Here defile means to dirty or to pollute. Outrage the innocence of means violate the purity of. So he says, as we had discussed in the beginning, the earth is but one country. The Mother Earth is for everyone. The Mother Earth doesn't treat people of different countries as strangers. Okay? So he says, the moment we try to be prejudiced, the moment we try to, create differences amongst ourselves, we are polluting the earth. Okay? So we must remember that. Our hells of fire and dust outrage the innocence. That means the moment we try to hate others, the moment we try to cause harm to others, okay, we are polluting the earth. Here pollution is not only the way we pollute the earth through various human activities like deforestation, okay, pollution of different kinds, okay, or polluting the air. So here pollution also means that we are destroying the beauty of the earth by creating differences or by hating each other or being prejudiced. So here again the poet is repeating the sentence that no men are foreign and no countries strange, because the gifts of Mother Nature, whether it is air, water or the forests, the land, all are the same for all the people of the earth. So children, I hope you have understood the poem and what is the theme. What is the beautiful message the poet has tried to tell us? That we all belong to one earth. The earth is alike for all and we have been created alike by God, our Creator. Therefore, we must not treat anyone as a stranger or any country as foreign. Okay, so I hope you have understood the beautiful message that the poet has tried to give us. And now let's try to look at some of the literary devices. The rhyme scheme of the poem is the free verse. The poet has written in a free verse. There's no rhyme scheme in the poem. The poet uses his own style of writing. Okay, alliteration is the repetition of a consonant sound in two or more closely placed words, and the examples of alliteration in the poem are: in stanza 1, body breathes, the sound of b, and in stanza 2, war's winter, the sound v has been repeated. Metaphor, we know the use of the comparison without the use of like or as. So here metaphor in stanza 1. Uniform refers to the military of different countries. Here when the poet says uniform, he refers to the soldiers, as we had discussed, that though the soldiers wear different uniforms, they are the same human beings. So it's the metaphor here. And in stanza 2, war's time is compared to the winter season. Children, poets many a times use the different seasons for different expressions in the poem. They symbolize different things. Like spring season is full of joy and it's very pleasant, very green and fresh. Okay, so they symbolize happiness and joy. And winter season always, since it's too cold and people are inside the house, they don't go out, so we say it represents sadness. So here the war time has been compared to winter season, because war also does not bring happiness, it always brings sadness. And repetition, we know the repetition of a particular word in a line or in the poem. Here the word remember has been repeated by the poet. So children, I hope you have understood the poem and also the figures of speech that have been used in the poem to make it more beautiful and interesting. So this poem has taught us a great lesson, children. And therefore, some of the question answers that have been given after the textbook to test your comprehension of the poem will help you to understand the poem in a better manner. So I would like you to go through those question answers and write down their answers in your notebook, and also try to refer to some extra materials as I have been telling you. You can search on the net for more information about the poet, for more information about the theme related to the poem, so that you get more ideas and you can write answers in a creative way. Okay, children. So the basic thing that the poet has tried to tell us is that though we belong to different countries, we all are similar in many ways. There are certain things which gives us a realization that we all have been created in the same way. So let's quickly try to look at the points that have been stressed by the poet, which tells us that we all are alike, we are not strangers, and no men are foreign, right? That one God has created us. So we all belong to one human race, we all are human beings. Okay, the earth is the same for all the people of the world, as we have discussed throughout the poem. The gifts of Mother Nature are the same for everybody, though they belong to different countries. And upon death we will lie in our graves in the same earth. Okay, we are born in this world, we walk on the same land, and after we die, our graves will be in the same earth, whether we belong to any country, no matter to whichever country we belong. But these features give us a realization that we all have been created by God in an equal manner. God has created us equally. Okay. During peace, we all enjoy the bounties of nature, as we had discussed about the harvest and agriculture. Okay, we enjoy when there is no war, there is peace, so we all enjoy the bounties of nature, the precious gifts which Mother Nature bestows us. Okay, but during wars we all suffer in the same way. That means our joys and sorrows are the same. We all work hard in the same way. We have two hands and we do agriculture, we do different types of work in the same way as people in different countries do. Our eyes function in the same way. We had read in the poem that we sleep and we are awake in the same manner to whichever country we belong. Children, we do travel to different places, isn't it? So if you go to a different country, many of you might have traveled to different countries, you might have experienced, though there might be some changes maybe in the weather, okay, the time slots differing by few hours, but you do sleep there the way you do in your own country. You do get up in the same way as you do in your own country. You do enjoy the air, water and other gifts of nature as you do in your own country. So there is a question in your text asking you to find out the words from the poem which tells us how we all are similar. So once we look at all these points, it becomes easy for you. Maybe there is a question, how has the poet, very beautifully brought out the similarities, and the poet says that we are not strangers and no men are foreign. Okay, so these are some of the points which tell us that we all have been created in the same way by one God. Okay, so we all are equal. Okay, so one more question that could be asked is, the poet has given us a kind of warning that if anyone tries to misguide us, okay, if anyone tries to create differences among the human beings, or if anyone tells us to hate others, what are we supposed to do? Do we hate each other? No. So that is what is the most important point of the poem, the beautiful message, that when we have learned, when we have realized that we all are one, so no question of hatred arises. And we have heard people saying that the blood which flows in our body is the same for all the human beings, isn't it? So we know that we all have been created in the same way, we all are born equal. So we must not discriminate anybody on the basis of language, caste, creed, color of the skin. We have learned that in the past, you might have read in your history about the wars and about the colonial rule, about the French Revolution, about the Russian Revolution, okay, and how people hated each other, and how for power and wealth people attacked each other, how they used weapons against each other. So the poet has warned us that we must remember, whenever the thought of war comes in our mind, whenever we raise weapons against each other or wage a war against each other, we must remember that we are paving the way for our own destruction. Because the poet has told us that the effect of war is the same for all the people. Okay? So I hope you have understood the poem, and after reading the poem very carefully, you must also look at the word meanings and question answers. And children, you must also try to frame your own questions apart from the questions that have been given in the textbook, as I told you about the warning that the poet has given us. What is the message of the poem? Or how has the title of the poem been justified by the poet? Justify the title of the poem. Okay, the message of the poem. The title of the poem, No Men Are Foreign. Okay, so what does it mean? How the title has been justified? That means the poet has justified the title by saying that we all are born equal, and there are diversities, but there are many things that are common in all human beings, and that is what binds all of us together. And therefore nobody is a stranger for us, isn't it? And no men are foreign, right? No country is strange for us, no men are strange for us, no men are foreign. Okay, so therefore we must not consider anybody as strange or as our enemy or as being different from us. Okay, though we all are different, but there are certain things that are common amongst all of us, and that make us realize about the purpose of our creation. Okay, so I would request you to read the poem very carefully, and children, you must practice writing the question answers. You must frame very simple questions from the poem. What is the name of the poem? You know, who is the poet? Name the poem and the poet. Okay, and you know, from each stanza you can frame simple questions as you might get in your examinations also this year. There are 5 marks from the questions related to reference to context, or questions that are asked from the stanzas of the poem. Therefore, you need to understand the meaning of all the words and also understand each stanza, and you know, try to write the meaning of each stanza in your own words, what you have understood from that particular stanza. So that will help you in answering all the questions in a better manner and in a creative way. So I'll see you in the next class with a new topic. Until then, take care, stay safe, stay at home.